When we are done, if there's time, we will look at other topics, but we're going to start with that. And, you know, I have looked at the manifestos of the two main political parties, the NDC and the NPP. When it comes to gender, there are crossover policies. Some of the crossover policies are the promise by the NDC to set up a women's development bank versus the promise by the NPP to set up a women's trade empowerment fund. Second is the support for persons with disabilities. The NDC is saying that it is going to provide free education for persons with disabilities. And the NPP is promising to increase the percentage allocation to persons with disabilities in the district assemblies common fund from 2% to 3%. And then social protection measures and laws put in place to protect women and children. And then there are the unique policies also. The NDC is promising free sanitary pads to girls in schools, and they're also promising to build a 500-bed children's hospital in Accra. And the NPP is promising to build a daycare center near workplaces, including marketplaces, and build care homes for the aged. Right. So these are some of the policies that I've been able to pick out, the key ones from the manifestos. I'm going to start with the NDC. And quickly, before your co-panelist joins us, we've seen a video by John Dramani Mahama. You launched your manifesto on Saturday, and the NPP did their Meet the Press on Sunday. He says it was intentional to take the attention or the mind of Ghanaians of that manifesto launch. Is that how you feel?
This is not a topic that I think that we should open this conversation with. We launched our manifesto. They did whatever they did. We have continued with the plan that we have in terms of how the roadshow with our manifesto. We did a fantastic work in Winneba. The manifesto launch was great. Organization was good. Content was good. Participation was great. We had a good time. We spoke to the hearts of Ghanaians. We spoke to the needs of Ghanaians. Actually, we gave back to Ghanaians what they told us they wanted to hear in terms of how we want to govern this country. And His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, who has done this before, knows how to do it, together with his running mate, Professor Nana Jeno-Pokwajimai, and the team of different people who worked on the manifesto, presented a good product to the people of Ghana. Before we launched it on Saturday in Winneba, we had outlined ways that we were going to take the manifesto content to the public, which is what we are doing. We are on course. I do not want to focus on the other
It is your flag bearer that said it. I am not the one making it up.
And I'm saying that let's focus on gender.
But it did actually take the mind of Ghanaians from the manifesto.
I doubt it. I wonder.
So then why are you playing back your manifesto launch?
I'm telling you, sir, well, I don't know if you were listening to me, that we had a program, we had a plan in terms of our manifesto launch. We are going according to our plan. We are not being
replaying the manifesto launch part of the plan.
Yes, we are not.
It was part of the plan.
We are not being reactionary. We are not like others. I'm telling you, take it from me.
Okay.
1st October, I'll be 58 years old, and I've been in this political game and working for Ghana for a very long time. I don't play.
But your flag bearer spoke about it on a campaign platform.
My flag bearer reacted to another flag bearer. I am here. I am not the flag bearer. I'm a member of the manifesto
but
committee.
You're speaking for the flag bearer and the party.
I'm saying that whatever you see happening with our manifesto, the program you see is a program that we had planned, and we are just outlining and implementing what we had planned. We are not reactionary. We are not reacting to anybody.
Okay.
Thank you.
Interesting. Okay, let's start with your unique policies when it comes to the manifesto on gender before we get into the cross policies. You are promising free sanitary pads for girls in schools, JHS and SHS students. And my question is, what happens to the students, or the girls, sorry, who are not in school? How do they get sanitary pads.
Okay, so I'd like us to step back a bit. I'd like us I'd like to give a framework for our manifesto. So our manifesto's theme is resetting Ghana, revitalizing our economy, and strengthening governance for jobs, accountability, and prosperity for all. And I can unpack that if there's time. But at least I want the theme out there so that the theme is what shapes and informs everything that is in our content, is in the content of the manifesto. So it's, once again, it's about resetting Ghana, revitalizing our economy, and strengthening governance for jobs, accountability, and prosperity for all. The context is that there's a Ghana that we left. When His Excellency John Dramani Mahama left office in 2016, he left Ghana in a certain state. Lots of infrastructure development. Our economy was performing better than what it is now.
When he left in 2016?
When he left in 2016.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Do you have the data?
You can do the
I can tell you, the data is very bad. I can run it by you.
Compared to what we are experiencing
today. We are
today.
not talking about today.
No,
you said when he left office in 2016.
I said I'm setting a context. So let me set the context.
But I have to correct you on that.
No, it's not correction. I haven't finished my statement, so you cannot be correcting me on an unfinished statement. Okay.
But I'm only telling you that the numbers don't speak to what you're saying.
Okay. So you hold on. And so the context within which we have developed our manifesto is that the Ghana we left in 2016 is very different from the Ghana today after 8 years of another party, the MPP party, being in power. Ghana is a complete mess now. And so it is important that we reset this country. And resetting the country, we are saying that we are going to do a number of different things. And therefore, our manifesto is structured around 7 chapters. Chapter 1 focuses on resetting the economy and creating prosperity for all. Now, one of the key things that is happening there is scrapping of all those taxes, e-levy, COVID levy, emissions levy, and all of those things. Chapter 2 is jobs for all. Chapter 3 talks about the Ghana framework for industrialization, revitalization, support, and transformation. That is what we are calling Ghana First. And then chapter 4 talks about powering growth through infrastructural development, so energy and all of those infrastructure things that we are very good at, that we did a lot of, and we are coming to do more. And then chapter 5 is investing in people for inclusive growth. Chapter 6 talks about restoring good governance and combating corruption. And chapter 7 is about how we deepen our international relations and foreign policy. Now, in all of these chapters are specific things that work for the interest of gender, children, and social protection. So the point I'm trying to make here is that the issue of gender, children, and social protection is mainstreamed across the entire manifesto. However, we come to focus on gender specifically. And on gender, one of the things we are doing, and I like to always start by stating the definition of gender. Most of the time, people hear gender and they think only of women. But gender is, as you well know, it's about the interactions, the social relations, the decision-making powers between men and women, the resource allocation for men and for women. And therefore, if we are sitting around the table and discussing, say, agriculture, are women sitting at the table too? If we are at the table discussing things that relate to people living with disability, are they present too and participating in the conversation? So what we are focusing on is what it is that will transform the relationships between men and women, especially as we are making progress as a country. And therefore, for gender, one of the fundamental things that we are going to do is to ensure that the Affirmative Action, so Affirmative Action Act has been passed. I'm yet to see if the president has assented to it. But then when the affirmative action has been passed, we will implement it. But you also need the legislative instrument to be passed so that you can actually implement the affirmative action. So we are going to do that. We are going to do that. There are a number of other laws that we would like to pass. So property rights, especially when a spouse passes away, the way the other spouse is treated often is women that are treated poorly when a spouse passes away. So property rights. You remember also that under the NDC administration, we passed the interstate succession law, which needs to be amended. So we will try as much as possible to amend those as well. Now, when it comes to girls, I remember, and so I'm sure you remember too, that when Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman was the Minister for Education, there was a project that included providing sanitary pads for girls. And people made a lot of fun out of it. People joked with it. What people don't realize is that in 5 days in a month, most girls around the country miss school because their parents and the girls cannot afford sanitary pads. 5 days a month, calculate over a year of an academic year, lots of girls miss education, access to education. But not only that, because of use of other materials in place of proper sanitary pads, sometimes they pick up all sorts of diseases. That then preventing the cost of dealing with those diseases become a burden on the state eventually. And so we are saying that for young girls, we will provide them with free sanitary pad. It is done in many other countries. It is a necessity. It is not, it is important that it is done so that we will maintain the girls in school. Your question was what happens to girls who are not in school? I think that this is a start, and perhaps along the line, we will look at how to support girls who are not in school. This is because we need to have the girls in school so that they will be educated and continue to contribute to society.
Okay. Now, another question on the free sanitary pads is why not remove the huge taxes that come with these pads, or subsidize it, or even buy them for the persons who cannot afford it? Because, I mean, if your child is in secondary school or JHS, I wouldn't expect government to buy free pad for your child because you can afford it at least.
Yes. And so, I mean, you touch on a very important point. What will make a government increase taxes on sanitary pads? And that's what happened. So yes, we are saying that we will reduce or remove those taxes, but also His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is saying that we will actually support so that businesses, so that the sanitary pads are produced here in Ghana as well, which means that the cost goes down. And I have interacted with a lot of mothers, a lot of parents. They can't afford to buy the sanitary pads.
But some can. Some
can. So those who can should. I mean, those who
can. But your policy is supposed to be free for all.
Yes. Yes. You know, sometimes in public policy, you don't make policy to make people worse off than they were before the policy was made. So yes, we are going to do that so that every girl who is supposed to be in school is in school. I am sure that with time, it would be worked out in such a way that those who can afford, and those who cannot are provided for. It is important that for now, as we are starting it, we make it across board for everybody to benefit from it.
Is that the case? But you know, if you agree that in starting, make it free for all, so that with time, you look at the persons who can afford and those who cannot afford. The NDC always said that they were against the implementation of free senior high school, for instance, because there are people, it wasn't targeted enough because there are people who can pay for their children's school fees. Isn't that the same thing that you're doing?
No,
it's not.
This is very different.
Okay. What makes it different?
This is very different.
If my parents can afford to buy me sanitary pads, and you want to give me sanitary pads for free when my parents can afford.
So I do a lot of work in this country in community development. And you'll be surprised to find out that many households cannot afford, especially if there's more than one girl in those households. They cannot afford sanitary pads for their wards, and especially rural Ghana. And there's more rural or peri-rural than urban, and even urban, there's a lot of urban poverty. I think that this is a policy that is useful to maintain our girls in school. I will not compare that to free SHS. Free SHS, what His Excellency John Dramani Mahama was saying and doing was that let's do that progressively, because as more kids are coming to school, you need more space. The space was not available. John Mahama was building schools. So let's build more schools. Let's open more spaces up. Let's put more furniture in. Let's get more teachers. That is why we did what we did with teacher training. Let's get more teaching and learning materials. All those things were not available. So our kids who just wrote the BECE exams, do you know that the entire curriculum that was changed, the resources that they needed, did not arrive till they went and wrote BECE? Are you aware that even the examination, what do they call it? The way through which exams will be set and answered was given to them, to the teachers, like a month or so just before the kids went and wrote BECE. That's not what we are talking about. You cannot compare. The underlying fact is planning. It's planning, resource allocation, and implementation, of course, with monitoring and evaluation.
So have you planned?
Of course.
Are you sure? Because you don't have, you're making it wholesale when you can make it very targeted.
Serwaa, NDC, we've been in government before. John Mahama has been in government before, and his record is there to show. We know what we are talking about. In fact, as I'm talking to you right now, the same way it took us over 2 years to go through, revise our own 2020 People's Manifesto, and to go back to the different stakeholders we engaged with across the whole country to firm up what we have today as our 2024 manifesto. It's the same way that there are people there sitting right now who have been looking at all these issues and costing and where the monies will come from. We are serious. We don't want to come and take the country for granted and citizens for granted. That's not who we are. Our principle does not allow us to do that. So please take everything that you have read in our manifesto very seriously, because we take it very seriously and we have thought through it very well.
And I asked you about the specific targeting. That's what I'm concerned about, instead of making it wholesale, because the GES has got data, Ghana Statistical Service has got data, of which you can use to make this policy more targeted, because we do not have that kind of money as a country, which I'm sure you know, to be going on a wholesale free spree.
So I think this issue has been spoken about enough.
No, but yeah. Is that what you know? You haven't done that.
We haven't done what?
The targeting, the data for targeting the specific people. You say that you're going to start off by making it free for all.
I'm telling you that, I just said it, that there are teams working now on it, yes. On
but you
everything.
Just said, you said that it was going to be wholesale. Now you have teams working on it.
I'm saying that everything in our manifesto is well thought through and will be implemented as we have planned it. And we are thinking through everything step by step, even the cost of every intervention and the benefit to the people of Ghana and to the economy of Ghana. We believe in investing in people. And one of the fundamental key things is about our young girls missing school because of sanitary pads.
Okay.
So we are going to implement this project.
Okay.
And I wish we can move on to other very important issues on
But you don't
gender.
decide that. It's the one who is asking the question.
I said,
so
I hope. I didn't say I am.
Yeah, but this is very important too. But
hope.
you don't say that other very important. This is
I
very
can't hope.
important.
I can't hope.
How much is it going to cost us annually?
I don't have that information now.
But you are speaking for the government on this issue.
I'm not speaking for government. We are not in
I
government.
mean, you're speaking for your party on this issue.
We will be in government very soon, in 3 months.
So how much is it going to cost us?
I said I don't have that information now.
Okay. I see. Okay. But you believe that we have money and we'll be able to find money to provide these sanitary
We will
pads?
find money.
Okay.
And like I read to you, one of our, I think the chapter 6 of our manifesto talks about restoring good governance and combating corruption. If we stop sinking unnecessary expensive holes around this country, like the 32 million euro hole in Shamar district that was supposed to be built, supposed to be used to build a district hospital 4 years ago, sword was cut, nothing has happened. Like the 58 million US dollars that have been used to dig a hole, supposed to be to build a cathedral, that hasn't happened. If we cut down on Office of the President, large office machinery, John Mahama has said that we are cutting down ministerial appointments to 60. There are ways in which we can deal with waste in this country to use the resources for things that are very important that will move this country forward.
All right. Let's also welcome Ellen Amadako. She's a member of the NPP's communications team. Ellen, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
You're late. What happened to you?
You know, your boys are on vacation. And it's something else, being a mother and waking up and coming this early. So as I always do when I come, I apologize to viewers, but sometimes...
As you always do.
Yes,
so meaning you're always late.
I'm usually
I didn't
late.
want to say it, but you have admitted it.
I'm usually late to GHOne because it's quite early and I have to wake up very early. I have quite a lot to do. So by the time I get out, sorting out the boys and setting out, I usually am late. So let me apologize again. And hopefully when they go back to school, I would be a bit freer to come early. Whilst I've done that, let me say a good morning to them, Kweku and Kweju. Mommy loves you. And perhaps Auntie Serwaa would appeal to you to also cut Mommy some slack in the mornings. And good morning, Madam. Good morning, Serwaa. Today is the birthday of the Regional Minister, Greater Accra Regional Minister, Honorable Titus Glover. So I wish him a happy, happy birthday and wish him Godspeed.
All right. So we're talking about, I'm sure you already know what we were discussing today,
Yes, I was
manifestos. You were listening. Okay, so we just touched on one of the unique promises. We will do the cross policies a little later, but the unique ones, we just started with hers, and they have a promise to distribute free sanitary pads to girls in school. That's a laudable idea, no? Ellen?
Yes. I have a few questions and a few issues with that. It's good. I've had, I run a foundation, so I've had situations where I had to get sanitary pads for young ladies in school, especially those at the GSS level who are just about starting menstruation and all the issues that are related to it. But I believe there are a few questions they would have to answer. Are they going to do it wholesale? Or they're going to select the children that come from good homes and leave them out? Because when we discussed free SHS, they did tell us that it's not every child that is supposed to enjoy free SHS because some of the children come from good homes. Their parents can pay. So the sanitary pad, are they going to take out the girls whose parents can pay out of it? And how are they going to determine whose parents can pay for the sanitary pads and whose parents can't pay? Those are a few questions that we should ask. But giving it to the girls who need them, it is important. Do they have the data to know, or they think that every girl, so far as you are in secondary school or you are in JSS, you should get a sanitary pad? If that is what they think, then I also think that every child, so far as you are in senior high school, should also enjoy free SHS. It doesn't matter the financial whatever of your parents. But these are some of the questions they'll have to ask. Are they going to take some people off? How are they going to determine it? Who is going to benefit from it? Which demographic of the society. Are it the people in the rural areas? Are we talking about people in the cities, peri-urban places? These are all things I think as we go along, we're going to discuss it and then we will know.
Okay.
For us in the NPP, we believe that there are other ways knowing the situation in the schools, and that is why it's good, especially the public schools, because a child that goes to a public school and is in need of these things, their teachers are there, they will be able to know all these things, and then you can pick it up. Are we also going to give it to the children who are in private schools? Are they going to do that? So these are issues that I think they should let us know, and then we move on it. But the general thought of it, I think it's a good idea.
Okay, well, you were late. She touched on it. You said you were listening.
Yes.
I don't know if you heard that part, but I asked her, and then I asked her the same questions, I believe, on whether it was going to be targeted or wholesale. I think you said it's going to be wholesale for starters, right? Because you have teams working on it. Is that the case?
Oh, sorry. I didn't realize you're talking to me. Yes.
So it's going to be wholesale.
Serwaa, I have said that we have said in our manifesto that we will give every girl who is in school and the age of menstruation free sanitary pad. I have also told you that the details are being worked on. I have said that on the set.
Yeah, but what details in terms of making it targeted?
I'm saying the details are being worked on.
But that's not enough. What
Okay.
details?
So when it's time, you will hear the details.
But what are the details? Because unless we have a wrong person who is speaking on the subject, because I've had a conversation with Shamima on this. She didn't say.
What did she say?
She said
Yes.
that the plan is to make it wholesale.
So
Unless I got her wrong. And she raises a legitimate question, which I have asked you as well, that there are people who can afford it. If your child is in school, if Ellen's child is in school, I don't expect government to provide free pads for Ellen's child and your child, because you two can afford it. So, and we don't have money, which we are all aware. So what happens? Will we be giving out free things to people who can actually afford it?
Serwaa,
Yes.
you have asked. I have answered. You have
For
actually,
clarity
you have
purposes.
actually even confirmed my response
Oh,
with
so that's your response.
With Shamima's response.
That is going to be
So
wholesale.
I don't know what more you are asking that I should say.
Ellen, she says it's going to be wholesale.
Well, I don't think Ghanaians are going to give them the opportunity to even bring
But
in...
isn't it a good idea, you said?
Oh, yes, it is a good idea. But you have to have parameters. You should now know exactly what you want to do. So one person is saying it's wholesale. The other person too is saying that we are working on it. I think the NDC needs to work more on this matter. If perchance Ghanaians decide that they should come into power, they have quite a lot of work to do on this. They've had a whole year and more to work on their manifesto. I'm still surprised that they still haven't given us details on exactly what they want to do. But for me, anything that would alleviate this, how uncomfortable it is to menstruate, especially when you start off. By the time you hit secondary school, most girls would have done this for about 3-4 years, so they know how to go about it. But those who are starting off from class 6 all the way to GSS 3, it can be quite a traumatic experience when they do not have the things that they need to go with it. So whilst they decide on how they're going to go about it, it is a good idea. But it is their manifesto, and they think that that is the priority for the women and gender and children, which is good. But they have to explain it, and then let Ghanaians understand it.
You want to respond to that?
I'm not sure there's any further explanation that we must make.
Okay.
I don't understand where she's going with that. Ghanaians will not even give us a chance to even implement it. It's very obvious. Ghanaians are waiting just to give NDC and John Mahama the chance to govern this country better.
Okay. Ellen, your manifesto also on gender, you have a promise of building a daycare or daycare centers in markets. Is that promise really necessary? What exactly is it coming to solve? So
for this manifesto, we actually opened the door for people to bring in their requests and what they think that when the Ghanaian populace votes for the NDC, they want to see it done. There are issues that are confronting them. The Gender Committee actually opened their doors and they received proposals from market queens, women who are in different jobs, and they were explaining how having children sometimes affect their progression at work. When you look at those in the market, some of them between the time they give birth or they go through the postpartum issues and they go back to work, maybe around 6, 7, 8 months, they would have to go to the market with their children, and it's a whole lot of issues for them. So I mean, this one, I believe the NDC should even have taken it up, because one of their founders that Madam Kunedu, Mrs. GHOne, if you remember her, 31st December Women's Movement, they started off with this having daycare centers in the markets for the women. And of course, when they chased her out of the party, they decided that it wasn't important. And that whole thing has been scraped off. But it doesn't matter who is in power. Anything that is meant to help women, for me, I think is good. So that policy, even though it comes from somebody who started off with the NDC, I think it's something we should look at to make, and the market women themselves actually brought it up, that those days it helped them a lot. So it's something we want to look at. But then we're also looking at other women who are in corporate work. I'm in GHOne, so
yes.
let me use GHOne. This is your building, you have other offices here. A lot of us could not progress in the, what do we call it, the corporate world because we had children. I had to step back for a long time and do other things because I simply didn't have the help that I needed. My mother passed on 2 months after I gave birth to my firstborn. So the plan was she was going to support me throughout. But I mean, nature and whatever happened, and she passed on. So she passed on when I had given birth for 2 months. My younger sister had given birth for 7 months. And both of us were in corporate work. So you can imagine the sort of trauma we had. And you had to, when you've gone through it, you understand what it means. When you have to actually pump breast milk and put in the fridge and the freezer, and then you go off to work. And whilst you are sitting in the office, you know, the body and biology is some way. Whilst your baby is crying, your breast milk starts squeezing. So a lot of breastfeeding mothers go back home and their chest and everything, you know, they've been excreting milk, and it's a very uncomfortable feeling. But if there's a nursery school or there's a daycare center in the building where you work, you can take breaks 2 hours, every 2 hours, every 3 hours, go and see to the baby, and then you come back. And these things are going to help improve the work and the life of women, especially the young women who are also in corporate world, that we are pushing for them to stay. A lot of them leave just because they've had children. So for us, it is important. It's not just the public spaces. We have to talk to private areas too. I know there's a bank that started it, and it's been good. I wasn't on the gender committee, but I did hear that they visited quite a few places in this country that are doing that. I would have to get the names of the bank. About 2 or 3 banks, other buildings that have corporate offices are doing this. And it's good for the women, and it is pushing them up. So that is something that we want to push.
Okay.
For Ghanaian corporate women. They'll be able to pay for it. They don't mind paying for those services.
So it's not going to be free?
No, especially
because if GHOne wants to provide a playground or a school sort of, shouldn't that be the responsibility of GHOne?
Yes, but then there should be the advocacy for it. Somebody should raise we should talk about it so that GHOne can provide it. It's not just GHOne. And all other companies, when they are thinking about their policies, these are not things that they actually think of. Some companies can actually provide it for free as a benefit to the mothers in the company. And it actually helps the women. It helps with their psychological issues. It helps with the fact that they are at peace working for you when they know that their children or their babies are just close by, and they can quickly go and and take a look at them. It helps with productivity. So this is a whole thing we have to discuss as a nation and get private institutions who can do it for free, do it for free. If it means that some of the women will have to pay for those services, because when you leave your children at home or you send them to the nursery schools, you do pay for it. So if you have to pay for it, it's something we have to look at. And those companies that cannot afford to do it, we get the women to pay. If it's also along the line, we have to get a policy, especially for the public offices, where government will have to step in. The Ministry of Gender would have to step in and get these things done. Yes, it has to be done. But
So
we need to have a
What is the
conversation.
rollout plan? You
We
don't
need
have
to
a
have
plan
a
to roll it out?
conversation. We have
What is the
immediately the
plan?
first 100 days. The Minister of Gender is going. This whole manifesto is ready for action. Everybody knows exactly what they are supposed to do.
So how is it going to be rolled out?
Well,
do you have buildings ready for these things?
I am not. I was not on the gender committee, so I have to be very. And I was on the transport committee, but from what I know, a lot of
so you don't have the information.
A lot of public spaces actually do have spaces that can easily be turned into these daycare centers and nursery schools. And putting up something like this shouldn't take more than 3-4 months to put it up. So yes, we'll get spaces. We are a big enough country.
Let's
we'll
just
get spaces
assume
for
that
it.
you don't have that information for the rollout plan because you were not on the committee.
No, I wasn't.
Okay. Emilia, do you want to respond to that?
No.
You don't want to respond to that?
No.
Okay.
But just to say that when it comes to providing support for children, to the extent that it supports the woman, because for us in the NDC, we see the place and role of women as key in national development. Our economy, the informal sector, is full of women, and they are the ones that actually make the wheel of the economy turn. And therefore, in responding to what it is that has to be done for women so that they can take their place and support the economy, as she referred to, this whole concept of a school in the market was initiated by NDC. And when you go through our manifesto, you see that we are talking about upgrading or building marketplaces, and we've done it before. If you look at Kejetia Market and other markets, Kotokraba Market. So one of the things that is in the manifesto that is going to be for women and children is upgrading markets, building new markets if necessary, and putting in such facilities that will support women in the markets for their children as well. And so if you even take me, when I was DCE of Shamar District, a very important market, Shamar Junction Markets, the women used to trade at the junction. We had to go to them, ask them why they were trading at the junction. Cars were knocking them down, their stuff was being destroyed, but they were still there. They told us the reasons why they didn't want to go into the then market. So we had to design with them, co-design with the women, to give them the kind of market that they wanted. And it was one of the things was a place for their children. Okay. It was about even warehousing, where they will keep their wares, all of those things. So that is in our manifesto, and that will be done as soon as we become government.
Okay, let's move on to other promises. You were promising to build a 500 children's bed hospital in Accra.
Yes.
And my question, of which I have tweeted about it, is why must it be in Accra? Because I love the idea, but why must it be in Accra? Are we not already complaining that Accra is congested? And whilst you're answering that, the NPP says that they already have a 170-bed children's hospital under construction at Wager. Wouldn't you want to, if you come to government, upgrade on that instead of starting a whole new project?
Okay, so I am told this came from the health committee that
okay.
I'm a member of, but I hardly went for a meeting. So I'm told that this is a specialized children's hospital. And what you're referring to is 170 bed. This is 500 bed. and it has some specializations that is different from what the 171 that you talked about. In the same way that His Excellency John Mahama under NDC built the University of Ghana GHOne Hospital. And yesterday was when I first learned how to pronounce that word. You know, Kolebu is a tertiary level, and the GHOne one is a level above Kolebu. And so I used to say, because it's 4, I used to say, I've forgotten what I used to say, but yesterday I learned the correct word, quaternary. It's a quaternary stage hospital. And I remember at that time, people were making mockery of John Mahama and the NDC. Even the designs, they said they were Photoshop, and today it's there, everybody is seeing it, that it is being used. In the same way, this 500 hospital, a 500-bed hospital for children has been also thought of, and for Greater Accra region. I am not certain of the specific reason that went into deciding for Greater Accra, but definitely there must be a good reason for that. I think it's also because almost everybody ends up here. And I think maybe it's because the regions, the numbers inflow are more here than any other place. I know that for kidney, for dialysis, we are talking about reducing the flow to Kumasi and Accra, and therefore building such facilities in the northern sector so that there will be access there instead of always coming down to the south for such facilities. So yes, 500-bed for children's hospital, a specialized children's hospital. It's also targeted at our neighbors, that the neighboring countries would also come and get service from the facility. It's also targeted at training doctors as well. So it's not just a facility to attend to children in Ghana, but also for our neighbors and to do more than just children's health care.
Ellen?
We already have a children's hospital in Ghana already, the Princess Marie Hospital in Accra, and it's under renovation. It's been going through renovations for years, and you know it's been there since the colonial times. The government is already building a 170 hospital, almost completed at Weija.
Is it a specialized hospital?
It's for children, so it takes care of everything that has to do with children.
No, but there's
Everything.
the women's hospital and the specialized women's hospital.
I know, but what I'm trying to say that this is a children's hospital, so it takes care of everything that's got to do with children. Whether it should be, they are 500 capacity, specialized, whatever they're talking about. Well, if they intend to have it in Accra, that's up to them. But I think that perhaps they should also consider having it maybe in the middle part of the country, maybe in the northern part of the country, because people also go through quite a lot of stress. Other children all over. Accra, I think, has enough of the children's hospitals. When this one, the Weija one, is also completed, we'll have quite a number that people can choose from to use. And so if we have some in other parts of the country, it helps. About the University of Ghana Medical Center, His Excellency John Mahama did not build it. That process was started by His Excellency John Stephen Atta Mills. The NDC has a very nice way of practically relegating Professor Mills to nothingness.
Oh, don't go there.
They behave as if that man didn't exist. They behave as if that man didn't do anything. He started it. Mr. Mahama simply did nothing. He did not even finish it. He had to take this government to put everything in there, finish it, and start. And then start the phase 2 of it. So when they go around saying that is an achievement of John Mahama, therefore he thinks that he can build a 500 whatever hospital. What project did Mr. John Mahama what did he even come to meet that he finished? What did he even start on his own that he finished? And remember, he has 4 years. This manifesto, both manifestos are supposed to run for 4 years, and he has 4 years with no hope of continuity. So when he starts making such grand promises and he doesn't have the data, he's just saying it. He has to say it, so he's saying it. I mean, that's what I think. He has to say something, so he's saying it. A 500-bed capacity specialized children's hospital. Where are they going to get the funding from? Have they thought about it? Where are they going to put it? Have they thought about it? I mean, these are all questions we should be asking them. I think we do have enough facilities in Accra in particular to take care of quite a lot of issues. But then we need to send some to other parts of the country. Perhaps they can look at it and then think about maybe the Ashanti region, the Eastern region, Northern region, and then put some specialized hospitals there. I know that manifesto is out, right? That's what they want to do. And they can think about it and do it. But the children's hospital, some is being built in Accra. They should have checked the data before they went on a promising spree.
Emilia.
You know, I respect Ghanaians very much. And
Please speak up a little for me.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. Sorry. I respect Ghanaians very much. I respect their audience. I respect platforms like these that give us opportunities to speak to people, whether in their homes or in their cars or in their offices. And therefore, I like to hope that we all come to these platforms with the same approach. To even think it and say it, that NDC has a way of relegating Professor John Evans Atta-Mills to the background. I think that one you should not even repeat that ever again anywhere, because that is so not true. We revere our professor dearly, and we talk about him and we project the works that he did. Even just yesterday, I was on a sister radio program and I spoke about what he did in the fisheries sector that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama continued. Now, to also just flippantly just talk about John Mahama did nothing. John Mahama did nothing. John Mahama was in office for only 4 years. Are you saying, you are telling me that the the University of Ghana Medical Center, we did not finish and you came and finished? I, in the office of the president, had responsibility to coordinate with the University of Ghana person, coordinator, one professor on it. So the part that Ghana government was supposed to be doing, they would come to me and I would direct it to my bosses for action. So I know about that hospital and we did it. His Excellency John Mahama did that. Have you forgotten you guys were making mockery of him? That it was Photoshop and things. And today you are sitting here and saying what? He didn't do it. He did it. When he, in fact, as soon as the project started, it was with Israeli support financing. As soon as the project started, they started taking people to Israel, training them on their facilities and everything, on the equipment and everything. John Mahama did it. When we lost power and you came to office, there were just some tiny bits to finish. You took forever, didn't want to complete it. It was pressure. And then when people started falling ill, including some of your own very senior people, it was the same facility that you went and got help from. So stop it. Don't let us even go there. Let's have a decorous conversation that will lift this country up, that will bring hope to the people of this country. And that is what our manifesto is about. It's about resetting Ghana, revitalizing the economy, strengthening governance for jobs, accountability, and prosperity. That is what NDC is about, and that is what His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is about. And come 7th January 2025, when he becomes the president of this country, and Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman becomes the first female vice president of this country, we are implementing these manifesto provisions, and everybody will see, just the same way that in 4 years, with whatever limited resources we had, we did all the things that we did, and in 8 years, you have more resources but have not done what you could have done in 8 years. We will all see what the difference is. So, Serwaa, let's get back to the agenda.
Okay. let's move on and talk about your crossover policies. So, Ellen, you weren't here, but I mentioned about 3 of them. The Women's Development Bank versus the Women's Trade Empowerment Fund, the supports for persons with disabilities, social protection measures and laws are put in place to protect women and children. I want us to start off with the debates, the Women's Development Bank, Women's Trade Empowerment Fund. And I'm going to start with you, Ellen, on your promise to establish a Women's Trade Empowerment Fund. I mean, there's Maslock. And the Maslock data says that majority of their beneficiaries are women. And they don't require any stringent, and difficult ways to access the Maslock loans. So what exactly is this going to do? Are you not going to create more bureaucracies in having people access funds when Maslock is there? If you have identified a different problem that Maslock is not taking care of, you look at it and fix Maslock to take care of those problems?
Well, I believe that Maslock was established by an act of parliament, and it has a certain group of people that it deals with. Maslock does not just deal with women, it deals with everybody. And there are certain levels and there are certain, how do I put it? There are certain amounts that Maslock has, they have limits. They cannot give monies to certain amounts. This government, for the past 8 years, if you would recall, have been very, very focused on trade and trade activities. So we brought in the after project, where we are trying to encourage Ghanaian businesses to trade across Africa and get other African countries to also trade. There should be we should have trading within Africa. And AFTA was brought up to take that effect. The monies that Maslow give, most women who run such companies that are at the AFTA level, the money Maslow gives is a bit too small for them.
How much? What is the range? Yeah.
I know that Maslow gives all the way from, I would have to check, but as low as 2,000 cedis, 1,000 cedis. And I know the highest they can give is not even up to 500,000 cedis. But when we are encouraging women-owned businesses to move, and we have women who own businesses that are into manufacturing, that are into beauty products, and they are supplying and sending things across Africa. We are talking about millions of cedis, millions of cedis and millions of dollars. So those are the women that the Women's Trade Empowerment Fund is meant for. Those who have huge businesses and want, or even they have the mini, they have the small scale, the medium scale, and the large scale. This is actually targeting the medium and large scale businesses owned by women. The small scale is that's what Maslow takes care of, and it's not just for women. All the other people.
Yeah, but they say
but
the data shows that majority of the people,
yes.
Women. So how much money then are you willing or looking at giving out to these people, if you're looking at women who have huge businesses?
Well, that's why it's a trade empowerment fund. So it depends on what, it looks, every business and its peculiar situation. There are some women who need $3 million, $5 million, $10 million. So depending on your business needs, there's a whole trade ministry, there's a lot of things that goes into determining what you need. And making sure that those companies actually go beyond Ghana and go beyond Africa. That's what we intend to do. And we have a lot of women who can do it. All that they need is the push. Okay. And for us, it's important that we identify these women and make sure that government supports them and make sure that they employ. Our manifesto, particularly, is meant to push businesses.
Okay.
And we need women, and we know that the Ghanaian economy, basically, all the way from the markets, all the way up, every sector has women there who are doing marvelous things. Most of them, the issue that they have is access to finance. And we need to start, being very, very particular and projecting women who have these huge businesses. I know women who are into manufacturing. There are women who are into steel manufacturing, all manner of things. And all these women need huge sums of money. That Maslow's threshold does not hold. So for the medium and the large scale businesses that are owned by women, this Empowerment Fund is meant for them, and it's going to be targeted. The Ministry of Finance, in the last 3 months, is doing, I believe the minister discussed it, an accelerated growth program for businesses. I know that even right now, they are targeting women in medium and small scale businesses. But we need to also, as we go along, actually make a safe space for them, have a fund that is just for women who are in medium and large scale businesses, and move them. If we are moving everybody in this country, and we are the government says we want to move businesses, yesterday YEA was on the trade matter, young people, training them and giving them things to start up their businesses. We need to look at all facets of the economy. And women who own businesses, they are few, huge businesses, they are few, but we need to push them and get more people, more women into that field. So the What If Women Trade Empowerment Fund is meant to do that. Specifics, women who are in medium and large scale businesses. Push them.
You say that Maslow gives a threshold of not above 500,000.
That's what I think.
So
yes.
You also mentioned the program by the Finance Ministry. There's NEIP. I don't know the threshold of what it supports people, but I want to find out from you, if you cannot get funding because you have such huge business and you can't get it from Maslow, I'm thinking that you'd go to the bank. Do you have any data that suggests that women are struggling in accessing funds from these banks or in financial institutions?
I don't yet, but this is an empowerment fund. So the rates that you pay at the bank, you're definitely not going to be paying them. I'm talking about interest rates. Some of them are even grants that are given to, I know Ministry of Finances own, there are grants that are being given to these businesses. So you cannot compare grants being given to you to accelerate your business to a loan that you are picking from a bank. Any reasonable business person will definitely go for the grant instead of the loan, because the loans comes with interest. So if you're asking me if I have data on the financial sector and the women, no, I don't. But this is actually meant for women who want to actually open up their businesses, those in the medium and small scale industry. So most of them, I believe, are going to be grants. They are not going to be payback.
Do we have the money?
I think we do.
When she was talking about the three parts, you talked about money.
Yes, I think we do. I mean, every government should have...
So we have money for grants. We don't have money for sanitary pads.
Every government have priorities. Every government has what they want to do.
Okay.
The MPP government under Nana Akufo-Addo said we wanted to do free SHS. People said we didn't have the money. But government managed to find the money to do it. So it depends on your priorities and what you want to do.
But you and I also know that the source of funding has been a major problem.
You would find
challenge for the free senior high school program.
You would find money to do it. If it's been a challenge, the children are still in school. Everything they are being paid. Yes, once in a while they do have issues, but that's the problem with every new thing that you are implementing. As you go along, you establish it and then you get it sorted out. So it depends on the priorities of the government. Okay. If your priority is to get money for women-owned businesses to expand, you will get it. Okay. If your priority is to also to get young ladies in school parts, you will get it. My question, I didn't say that it wasn't good. I said who and who are going to get it. I think the same measure that they use to measure free SHS, the same measure we should also use to measure this. If your child, a parent can afford it, are they still going to give that child free sanitary pads? That's all I was asking.
Still on this fund, quickly, Emilia, before I come to you. I mean, how do we ensure that cronyism doesn't play a part in this? That it's not only given to, persons who are members of your party?
Well, one, the people who are members of my party, are they not Ghanaians? So if there's somebody who is a member of my party who has a business and the person is a Ghanaian, the person meets all the criteria, why shouldn't the person have it just because he's a member of the NPP? And all the things that we have done in the last 5 years, including just in the last 8 years, including just yesterday's program, where the YEA has passed out 10,000 young people. And I've actually given them the tools and the things that they need to start their trade. Are you trying to tell me that all those 10,000 young people are NPP members? this government in particular, if you remember, we've opened everything. Everything is done online. In fact, some of our party members actually are peeved because everything you want, you have to go online. When NEIP and then, Kozi's place, what's their name? The Enterprises Agency. If
NYA.
Not NYA.
Kozi.
Not Kozi Menu. There's another question.
Okay.
Ghana Enterprises Agency, GEA. When GEA was giving out money, right from the COVID time, every Ghanaian who decided to apply, so far as you meet the criteria, nobody asks for your party card. You are given. So if you are telling me that, how do we make sure that MPP members do not benefit? Why MPP members are not Ghanaians? They are not supposed to benefit from the growth of the country, from the good work of the country. And DC members have also benefited. CPP members have benefited. We are all Ghanaians. This is a Ghanaian manifesto. This is something meant for Ghanaians. So far as you have a Ghana card and you're a Ghanaian and you apply and you meet the criteria, why not?
Emilia. Okay, hold on for me, Emilia, before you hold your fire. I need to take a quick break. I'll be back very shortly. Please stay. You're welcome back to the show. This is GH Today. I'm Serwaa Amihere. And this is the breakfast review. I'm in the studio with Emilia Arthur. She's NDC's manifesto spokesperson on gender and social protection. And Ellen Amadako is member of the NPP's communications team. And we've been talking about the manifestos of the two parties on gender. And just before we went on the break, we're talking about the Women's Trade Empowerment Fund. And the NDC, on the other hand, is promising a women's trade bank. No, actually, women's bank, right? Women's Development Bank. Emilia, how different is that going to be also from Maslock? Because yours is targeted at small scale, women who run small scale enterprises. Is that what it is?
And so, like I said earlier on, that there is a clear recognition that the economy of this country really hinges on women, especially in the informal sector. And we realize that there are some barriers to women's businesses, women-led businesses and women-owned businesses. Sometimes there are barriers to their growth. And we realize that it's around funding, financing. And often when they go to the open market to borrow money, the interest rates are sometimes exorbitant. Of course, they are given commercial rates, whereas what they need the monies for are not necessarily in that high commercial level. So we are setting up the Women's Bank, the Women's Development Bank, and it is aimed at supporting women, like I said, women-led businesses or women-owned businesses, small, medium enterprises. And the difference is that the interest rate would be minimal, very, very minimal. Also, in certain instances, I am not sure exactly of that, but what I had heard earlier on said was that it is possible that if the loan is at a certain threshold, below a certain threshold, then it probably will be interest-free. But if it's above a certain threshold, then you would pay interest, but very, very minimal interest.
Okay.
So to support women's businesses so that the economy can grow at the rate that is required. But it's also, so the difference here is development, a development bank as opposed to a commercial bank. So as the difference is, you see, it's because we recognize the role of the woman in society, in nation building and economic development. So it's a holistic approach that we are taking. When I often use this analogy, Bible, Quran, even our tradition tells us that men are the head. Okay, I don't agree with you. You are the head. You can't be the head. But me, the woman, I'm the neck. Depending on how strong my neck is, I can carry my head. Look at how big my head is. If I didn't get this kind of neck that can carry this head, I'll be walking and my head will be shaking. So if the woman is the neck and you support the neck be strong in terms of the economic status, health status, social status, even recreational status, even spiritual status, you support the neck, who's the woman, then the woman is strong enough to carry the head. And that is what we are looking at in terms of this Women's Development Bank. Once the women's businesses hold, are strong, are flourishing, they take care of the home, they take care of the children, they take care of society. One home flourishes, another home flourishes, many homes flourish, the community is flourishing, the district is flourishing, the country is flourishing. That is our approach to this Women's Bank we are talking about.
Okay, and I know that you've spoken somewhat on what the difference is, but I just told you earlier that the Maslow data, when I was asking Ellen a question, that the Maslow data shows that majority of its beneficiaries are women. What you are trying to do with the Women's Development Bank, which is targeting small, medium enterprises, is exactly what Maslow does. So if you have noticed a problem per your research with Maslow, why don't you work on it and have it there? Because I and many other people believe that this is just another bureaucracy for women to access it, unless you have data which speaks otherwise to the fact that women are struggling, or women who run these SMEs are struggling to access funds from Maslow. Is that what it is?
The Maslow Fund is limiting. Not all the women, and so to the point about data that women in this category that the Women's Development Bank will serve are struggling accessing Maslow. Yes. So this is going to be an expansion so that it will cover more women than Maslow covers. I am very certain that the processes through which you would access funding from the Women's Development Bank may be different from the Maslow process. But yes, this development bank, Women's Development Bank, is intended to reach out to many, many more women than Maslow does.
So really, I mean, if we're all setting up these things for women, what happens to the men?
You see, if you come back to my analogy, and then even going back to my definition of gender.
Yeah, because you said it's not just limited to women. What happens to the men?
So you see, in the development journey, there are different target groups that we journey together. So there are the men category, women category, youth category, children category, people living with disability category. And what research has established is that there is a category that is lacking behind. So we need to hold their hands and come with them so that we all journey together. That is the importance of affirmative action. And so what research is indicating is that the women who actually hold our economy are lacking behind because of, in terms of financing, in terms of support. So this is specifically for them. But when you go through our entire manifesto from chapters 1 to 6, chapter 7 focuses on deepening international relations, and even that brings benefits. But when you go through the entire manifesto, there are many different interventions that men benefit from. So let's talk about fisheries, for example. Everybody knows that NDC party, when we were in government, the issues of fisheries, the issues of premix fuel, the issues of outboard motor was way better handled and managed than what we have experienced in the last 8 years. In fact, it was so good that the chief fishermen around the central region, especially Otuam and Edna, made Atamils the Kweja, Freinyi Kweja Otodokor. They installed him as such because they said that the person who brought fisheries into Ghana, it was called Freinyi Kweja. And Professor Atamils was so good with them in the fishery sector in terms of what they needed for their businesses to thrive, that they decided to honor him and installed him as such. When he passed away, may God rest his soul, and His Excellency John Dramani Mahama became president, he also continued with the fishery sector in terms of premix fuel, in terms of outboard motors and things. They were very happy with him to the extent that they installed John Mahama also as Freinyi Kweja Otodwe Bien. In fact, one of the things we did was to establish the landing beach committees, and the prices of premix were subsidized, and there was a profit sharing arrangement. So when you sold premix, the premix committee sold premix, there was a profit margin on it, and the arrangement was that 47% stayed with the premix committee, 53% went into community development projects. And when you go to my constituency, Shama, when you go to Apu, you see a huge story building that is the sort of resource center for the fishermen that was built from the profit. When you go to Bentiri, same. When you go to Abuadabu, you see what happened. The men's businesses flourished. The men's fisheries project flourished. Now, as the men's fisheries project was flourishing, the women who were fishmongers, theirs was also flourishing as well. Now, here is a case that premix shortages, outboard motor prices have increased, premix prices have increased remarkably. So their businesses are failing. In our manifesto, John Mahama is talking about coming to restore the fisheries sector in the form that we left it, and even better. Men will benefit there. In the cocoa sector, men will benefit. In the infrastructure sector, men will benefit. And so what we are doing is we are disaggregating, and we are looking at what men's issues are, what women's issues are, what children's issues are, what people living with disabilities issues are, and therefore what is it that we must do to bring all of us along on the journey of development. And in fact, that actually leads me to talk about what we intend to do with people living with disabilities.
We'll come there once we wrap up with this topic. We'll get into the persons living with disability. Ellen, do you want to respond to that?
Oh, yes, I do.
Okay.
I mean, Maslow, as you mentioned, was meant for a certain, basically it was set up for the micro and the small businesses. The NDC under their watch actually stood there, and one of the appointees who happened to be the Maslow boss, as it is now, is AWOL. She's needed for practically mismanaging the funds as Maslock. I'm sure if Madam Sedinam Tamaklo had done her work well, the NDC will not be going all over the place with a women's bank. If she had done her work well and she was not sentenced for 10 years for stealing Maslock money. So you get such people, and then I find it quite interesting that former President John Mahama, who pretended over that because he appointed her. He watched her do all that, and now she's gone missing. We're even looking for her. And then he comes back to come and tell all of us that, oh, after what I had done when I was in power, and remember, he was in power. He wasn't vice president. He was president. After what my appointee have done, mismanaging Maslock money, stealing it, money meant for women, including women who were at Mokola and women who were at Kantamanto, whose businesses got bent. Their money. This woman took it. I'm not the one saying it, it's the court that said it. And now, 8 years down the line, they want to whitewash themselves and come and tell us that they are bringing a women's bank. The same people who did that to Maslock.
I don't know this how
so I find it very, very interesting when I listen to them on this women's bank matter. Because you had the opportunity, you squandered it. In fact, you stole the money. You stole it. So this whole business about supporting women, you could easily have supported it. Supported the women when you had the opportunity. You had a woman who was head of Maslock. Look at what she did. Women, let's not forget, the affirmative action bill has been passed by Parliament. The president will assent to it.
When?
So I have no idea, but he will assent to it. It changes the conversation on women and gender. You ask the question of what happens to the men. Why are we even bringing the affirmative action bill? Why have we been pushing for it for the past 20 years? That is because everything is shared and women do not get a part of it. You have to struggle before you get something small out of everything in this country. So we need to push the women agenda. And so for me, anything that would improve the lives of women, whether in business, whether in health, whether in education, politics, whatever, it's a good move. But whilst we are pushing for that, we should not forget that we are also responsible for the little that we are given. We are supposed to make good use of it and give good account of it. So when you are a government, you haven't changed anybody in that whole cycle. You're still bringing the same former president. You're still bringing the same running mate who's pretended over that rot at Maslock. And now you are telling us that you are what? Changing it into a women's bank. The NDC does not care for women, honestly, especially women in businesses. If you did, your appointee would not have stolen our money and run away with it. And those monies were meant for women, market women. So you tell me that you're giving interest-free range, interest-free loans and with small, you have no idea what has happened in the business sector in the last 8 years. What has happened is that this government, at least so far, nobody has stolen money meant for women. It's been given to them. And a lot of women businesses are seriously on the markup for growth. And that is why going forward, we believe that we should have a fund dedicated for these women. Not a women's bank. It doesn't solve anything, in my estimation.
You want to respond to that?
Oh, I really choose not to honor such rantings with a response. I wouldn't dignify such rantings with a response. So let's move on.
Okay. Well, let's move on to support for persons with disabilities. What is the NDC's plan for support for persons with disabilities? You are going to get into that.
Yes, thank you. 1, we intend to strengthen the legal framework on disability rights by passing the Persons with Disability Amendment Bill and introduce a legislative instrument to augment the provisions of the Persons with Disability Act 2006. 2, we are going to mandate a 5% hiring of persons living with disabilities in public and private sector. In fact, that reminds me of a comment I wanted to make earlier. about, say, a GHOne, for example, deciding to have space for women to bring their children and what have you. You see, sometimes if you just leave it and wish it, it won't happen. Sometimes you have to make it a policy. Sometimes you have to even legislate it. And then people will actually take it seriously and do so. What we are saying is that we are going to mandate a 5% hiring of persons living with disabilities in public and private sector. We are going to enforce the Ghana accessibility standards on built environment adopted in 2016 to facilitate access to public places for persons with disabilities. Most of our buildings are not persons with disability friendly. When they have to enter the buildings, it's very, very difficult for them. Meanwhile, in 2016, there was accessibility standards on built environment that was adopted. So we'll enforce it. We'll also increase the percentage of the District Assembly's Common Fund reserved for persons with disability. I remember as a former DCE, when the Common Fund came, and I insisted that the persons with disability portion should be reserved and given to them as is, I had some difficulties because I think that oftentimes, because monies for running assemblies are not adequate, people prefer that the monies for the people living with disability rather goes into running and managing the institution's activities. But we are going to ensure that the percentage is increased and also that it goes to them. We will establish a disability fund in the districts to be managed by relevant stakeholders and review the guidelines for disbursement and management of the fund to ensure strict compliance with the aims of the District Assembly Common Fund, as I have just said. We will also implement guidelines for the disbursement and management of the District Assembly funds. I have already talked about this. We will modernize education facilities for persons with disability and the use of customized ICT learning, including the creation of an information hub and portal. If you noticed on Saturday at our manifesto launch, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, when he launched the manifesto, he had the regular copy and he had a copy in Braille, because we want to make sure that we are taking care of the needs of people living with disability. We will also strengthen, there's already a National Council on Persons with Disability, but it needs a bit of strengthening and resourcing. We will create a disability desk at all MMDAs to facilitate mainstreaming of disability issues into local governance. We will establish a center of excellence for special education to enhance special and inclusive education.
Okay.
In my district, Shama, there is a special school, there's a secondary school for the deaf. And I have been there a few times, and you can see the struggle of management, resources, teaching and learning materials, equipments that they need, hearing aids and things. Is rather difficult. So we are talking about ensuring that we provide all these as much as possible. But I see that you want to come in, but let me talk about the last thing before. This is about His Excellency John Dramani Mahama providing free tertiary education for people living with disabilities. We are aware of many people living with disabilities who actually can get to tertiary education but do not go because of lack of support. You know how it is in a family. If they have to decide whether it's a boy or a girl that should go to school because of limited resources, it will be a boy and then a girl. If there's a person living with disability in that family, then that person doesn't even get counted at all. So we will ensure that once they are able to, in fact, now, as I speak to you, there's one of our persons in Shama who does communication excellently, is a person living with disability who have actually just finished university. So it is possible, but he struggled to go to school. So that is what we intend to do.
Okay. Do you have, just briefly on that, do you have data on the number of persons with disability that you're going to send to school?
So yes, the data exists. I don't know it offhand because we worked very closely with the different disability groups. You know, they have a federation, they have the organized group for people hearing impaired. They have another group, organized group for blind. They have, so we work very closely with them to come to these things that I'm talking to you about.
Okay.
Once again, we did not plug these things out of the blue or out of the sky. We actually engaged with stakeholders and they told us what they wanted.
Okay. We have to wrap up, but I'm going to have to beg my producer for a few minutes so that the NPP can also speak on this. For the NPP, when it comes to your promise on supporting persons with disability, Ellen, you are promising to increase the District Assembly's Common Fund formula from 2% to 3% in your manifesto. And I'm surprised because in the 2023-2024 formula approved by Parliament, it already has a 3% percentage point there. So what exactly are you going to do? Does it mean that no research went into it because this is an existing percentage?
Well, before I get that, you know, we have a lot of different initiatives that support people with disability. And when you live in the society or you have had a chance or the opportunity to take care of people who have different levels of ability, let me put it that way, because they have different levels of ability and disability. You understand what it means to actually make sure that these people actually get help that they need. We have different ways of helping these people. And I find it quite interesting. It was Dr. Baumia in his speech at UPSA, is that the name? UPSA, last year? Mm-hmm. Who did mention that one of the things that he wanted to do was to make sure that continuing from the free SHS and going into tertiary, people with disabilities would get free tertiary education. So I find it quite interesting that the NDC is also talking about it. The people who have the disabilities, for them to get to the tertiary level, they would have to go through the secondary level. How are they supposed to go through it? If you don't agree with the free SHS, you think that it's a waste of everybody's time and money.
But it was in the 2020 NDC's manifesto. Yes.
That's what?
That they are going to
but
give
then the
free
point
education
is before
to persons with disability.
the person gets to that level, the person should have had some secondary education.
That I agree.
And
I'm just letting you know that Dr. Baumia is not the first person to have said it.
And you don't agree with it. So I think the best person...
They are not against free SHS,
please, they are. Don't let us get into that conversation. We all know. It's a done deal. We all know what their flag bearer have said about free SHS from day one. Don't let us get in there. Somebody who says, if I have 3 billion Ghana cedis, I will not put it into free SHS. Then today you come and tell us that all of a sudden you have changed your minds because you've realized that Ghanaians actually need the free SHS. Ghanaians are interested. You have realized that it can be done. So all of a sudden you will do it. Don't let us go into integrity matters here. Mr. Mahama definitely does not have any integrity in relation to free SHS and this conversation. He doesn't have any. He does not have any. So let's move on. The people that you want to give the free tertiary education to, how are they supposed to get to the tertiary level? How are you going to train them? You have no plan for them. But then when they manage through their own effort or through the efforts of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and Dr. Baumia through free SHS and they get to the tertiary level, all of a sudden you are going to give them free tertiary education. People work on records. People work on what has been done. We build on what has been done. Something you cannot do. You cannot tell us that you are going to continue with it. The best person to continue with that policy into the tertiary sector is Dr. Baumia and not the NDC and John Mahama. And then you're talking about the 3% issue at the assembly. Yes, it's there. But then most of these assemblies, actually, it takes a long time before these people actually get their monies. So we need to put the systems in place, make the systems better, so that at least these monies actually go to them. So it's not as if the research wasn't done. Yes, we know. The parliament had passed that money, 3% goes to them. But whether they do receive the 3% and they do receive it on time, That is another issue. I have a nephew who is, he has cerebral palsy, and he lives with his mom, my cousin in Wenchi. We had to go through a long process to even get him registered in the assembly, for him to be picked up by the system that he's somebody who is living with a disability. It takes a long while before these things are done. And we need to get the systems in place such that with the implementation of the Ghana card and giving Ghana card straight at the birth centers and at weighing, when somebody is born and the person is differently abled from the rest of us, the assemblies through the hospital should be able to pick that person right from birth. And all these people should very quickly go into the system, and we are able to follow up on them and give them what government says should be given to them. All these systems, the NPP says that, yes, the system is there, but we are going to work better at it and make sure that we pick all these things. And you can only do this when you have data. And the data we have now is the fact that now, going forward, every child that is born, everybody is being identified. Everybody is being given a Ghana card. So going forward, with all these systems in place, it will be easy for us to know who is disabled at which assembly or in which area of the country, and give them the help that they need. The MPP is very interested in syncing all our systems. We need to get them synced because we have different things that help people with disability. They are in different areas. They are in different ministries. Sometimes people are not even aware of it. Now, all this thing about the bill that they are talking about and all that, the MPP have already done it. The disability bill, we've already worked on it, and as we said in our manifesto. And so we need to put all these things together and make it a one-stop shop for people with disabilities. They know that when I have a child who has who is disabled in any way, I don't have to go kill that child. But you know that in some of our societies, when people have children like that, they either keep them in their rooms or they go kill them or do whatever things to them just to get rid of them. We need to get down to the basics. But when people know that there's help for them, these people will be taken care of. This is from the infancy. What about those who are already in the system? Dr. Bawumia is saying that we need to get our system straight. We need to have our data straight. When you have data, you are able to work on everything that you need to. And that is why the Ghana card is important. Every one of us, including our brothers and sisters who are differently abled, need to get it. So that government interventions and government things that they need, they can also get it. The MPP government have already started the process. Dr. Bawumia is going to continue. We're not going to leave it in the middle for some people to come and go and start the whole thing all over again by telling us that they are going to be resetting. Who wants to reset when we want to upgrade?
Okay. Thank you. This one you want to respond?
No, I just want to show to your viewers that when it comes to what we have for people with disabilities, we have actually 20 points, but we don't have time to say them all.
But I think you went through a substantial amount.
No, I didn't. I just got to number 10.
Oh, okay.
No, but the last one I would say is that one of the things that we really are going to do is providing sign language interpreters at health centers for
to support persons with disabilities.
Because that was such a major issue. But on a very small note, the reason why the portion for persons with disability at the district assemblies delay is because government has not been paying the district assembly common fund. Yes. They are in arrears for many quarters. So they should just go and come again. 2, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama never kicked against free SHS. He said, we will review it. And we will review free SHS and continue it in a better shape and form. Thank you.
Ghanaians are listening. Ghanaians have been here for
You
quite
see,
a long
you
while.
see,
Thank you.
sometimes
I mean,
don't know
as I
who-
said, we
I
don't
don't
have
know,
to get into
I don't know what
the
we
genesis
take
of
Ghanaians for
free SHS
granted.
from.
I don't know
Right
why
from
you come and sit on a
2008 when
set like this
Nana
and speak
Addo
the way you
Dankwa
speak,
said
as if
he was
Ghanaians
going
don't
to
face
bring
the
free SHS.
reality. They
We know
face the
exactly what the
realities.
NDC did, including running campaigns and running adverts against free SHS. So if you come down 8 years, 16 years down the line and come and tell me that the same John Mahama who paid for adverts against free SHS is for it, Ghanaians are looking at you and they know who is lying, who has integrity and who doesn't. Obviously, on free SHS matters, NDC and Mr. John Mahama does not have the integrity to even talk about it. No, I don't think she has anything to say. We are done.
You decide for me.
No, you obviously don't have anything to say. You don't have anything to say because
I
it
respect,
is there.
I respect Ghanaians so much that I
the
have
records
actually
are there, the
held
videos
myself.
are there, everything
Serwaa,
is there.
honestly,
Nobody is going
this
to
is my
change
first
anything.
time on your program.
So
When
that's why
I
we don't
was
have to
asked
have an
come,
argument about it.
I was told we'll be discussing. I had no idea that this happens.
What happens?
What happens?
This raving and ranting. I mean,
So
She's
look,
speaking for her party.
So
You're speaking for
have
your
you
party.
seen the problem that the
Ghanaians-
NDC have when they don't
Oh,
have
I didn't-
any,
I didn't
when they don't
realize
have
that- I didn't
anything to
realize
say,
that- I didn't realize
when they
that
don't
the
have
NDC has a
anything
problem.
to
Serwaa, we've
say
had a
about
good
what you are
program.
saying, then they switch to
let's close
insults.
it here. I
When
haven't
it comes to
insulted.
insults
I
and
haven't-
raging
I haven't-
and
I haven't
ranting,
insulted
so you know what I
anybody.
can do. Today I've been very nice.
Do it.
You have been
Do
very
it.
nice.
Go on.
You sit here
Go on.
as whoever
Start.
you are.
Start now.
You
Go.
come and you are
Go.
lying.
On
I
that
am
nice
just bringing you
note,
out
let
there.
me
You're
end
telling
the
me I'm
program.
ranting and raving.
Lying.
On that
When
nice
you are
note,
part
let
of a
me
government
end,
that doesn't have any integrity, and you are telling Ghanaians to vote for you. You are coming here to insult.
Let me-
Bawumia
let-
has
I mean, can you
integrity.
imagine?
NPP has
Can you
You've been
imagine?
very
integrity.
nice,
This
as
one.
she said. Let's.
you know what I'm
That you
saying?
This is what the
enjoyed
NDC
you know what I'm
intends to
saying?
break with their spokesperson. They should get ready. Because you know what some of us can do. Let us discuss
do
it and do it very, very,
Do-
very
you've
well.
been doing
But
it.
you do
Do
not
it.
come to
Do your
sit
worst.
here,
Do your
come
worst
and
now.
discuss your
What is her
manifesto,
name? Ellen.
and then come and
Do your
insult
worst.
people.
Go on.
Let's
Do
look at
it.
this.
Do it now.
I
Go
mean,
on.
Okay,
An
let's all be
elderly woman
nice. We've had a
behaving like
very
this.
nice.
And just when
we've
we're
had a
ending,
very nice
a whole
show.
elderly
So let's
woman
not
with
mess
grey
it.
hair decides to behave like this.
Let's not end it like this, okay? Thank you very much. Ellen Darko is a member of the NPP's communications team, and Emilia Arthur is the NDC spokesperson for their manifesto on gender and social protection. Thank you so much, ladies, for coming. We'll meet, God willing, next week. Is your messaging on the pulpit not creating or sending out these kind of messages for you?
Of course, we're doing that.
So why do you want to be president?
Absolutely. Well, there are different realms of operation. Well, we teach, we inspire, and many people, as I've said, have already benefited from that. But that is only limited. Now, if you now can scale that up to where you can now begin to affect the lives of 34 million people, it's much, much better. And also, if you get into leadership in a nation, then you have the opportunity and access to make major changes. So there are different levels of operation. We've done it successfully, I think, through the pulpit, through other mechanisms that we have used, and we feel that it is time to step up or scale it up to the national level.
Okay. Now, I still want to stay on your bit to want to be,
Yes.
because you say that, you know, you want to be able to bring about some level of change. And Ghana is a predominantly Christian country. I'm sure that there are people who are probably in government, connected one way or the other, who come to your church.
Yes.
We have majority of persons leading us who are Christians.
Yes.
Yet the corruption is continuing. We have all these immoral acts that you talk about continuing.
Yeah.
What will make you different? What shows that if another Christian comes around, things are going to change?
Well, the name Christian is often used as a generic term for a whole swathe of people, whole segment of the population, whole demographic. But we need to understand that in that range, we have those who, among them, have made a very strong commitment to their gods And many people have different levels of commitment and therefore different levels of expression of the life of Christ through them. And so there is a range. And if we have this, that is why we do not see the good things of Christ being shown across the board in the 71% of people who would ascribe to the Christian faith. Now, but there are within this many, many godly people, people who have been counted on for integrity. And I'm one of those who are saying that now it's time where I have proven the things that I've proven the good things that God has given us. I've proven it in our own circles. And I think, well, we can do the same. So there is a variety. There is a range. And now we need to look for those who really take hold of this and are strongly committed in their faith and also working it out in practice, because sometimes it can be purely cosmetics. They are the people we need in charge to be able to carry this forward.
So if you become president, you're going to make sure that you're appointing only Christians? Is that what you're saying?
Not at all. Not at all. The idea of integrity is not limited to Christians at all. We can find integrity springing up from different parts of our country, even different religions. And what it means, what I'm really saying there is that when you are addressing Christians, you have to awaken the desire in them to know that, no, they have something that is special. But wherever it springs up, wherever integrity springs up, we'll be happy to welcome and use that in rebuilding this nation.
Okay, I see. If you become president, what would you change about Ghana? Or what would you like to see?
Well, first of all, we'll need to reimagine Ghana. And that should begin with our minds, where we have to reimagine a nation where we have integrity at the core of leadership. And in this place, when we have that going on, we'll expect that integrity will become the culture of leadership. And when we have that culture of leadership in place, starting from there, it should sift through eventually through the public service and all of that things we are doing. Now, we need to reimagine a country where there are equal opportunities for people from every tribe, every language, every region of this country to be able to get to the highest potentials with their lives. We need to reimagine a country where there is shared prosperity across the board for all peoples. So in order to achieve this, we have, as the Progressive Alliance of Ghana, 5 key transformations that we will be implementing in order to accomplish this.
Let's hear it. Your 5 key transformations.
That's right. Let me say that, first of all, the 5 key transformations are, the first one is agricultural transformation. The second is industrial transformation. The third is natural resource ownership transformation. The fourth is the infrastructure transformation. And the fifth, I would say, ethical transformation.
What is ethical transformation?
Can I start from the first one, and I'll get to that eventually?
Oh, so it's like
I've just mentioned 5 now.
Yes. So what is ethical transformation?
Well, ethical transformation should be seen as one of the key things that we need in this nation, where we have truth, honesty, and integrity right at the heart of government, where a government's yes is yes and the no is no, where contracts are awarded based on merit rather than on cronyism or whoever you knew, where there is always truth around financial matters. Procurement of government services will all be done on merit. And if it costs $5 million, it will not be registered as costing $10 or $15 million, but rather it will be exactly what they say it is. So
how do you intend to do that?
It's a pledge, first of all, that we will make.
Pledge?
First of all, yes.
Pledge by who?
okay, the Progressive Alliance of Ghana will first of all pledge to Ghanaians this is what we're going to do.
That
and
you're going to uphold integrity.
And then
all the political parties make those promises.
I'm going to get to it. Then the next thing will be demonstrate is that during the first term of our office, no leader will acquire any property of his own. There will be no acquisition of lands, property like houses or cars and all that. No, they will choose not to do that. As an example for anyone who is following in this nation. Now, this has happened before. Osajifo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, he led this country, probably one of our most successful leaders. He didn't acquire any property, not even a two-bedroom house for himself. We would have that in place to begin with. And then, of course, we will make sure that whenever anything goes out of the way, whenever it is picked up, any like all these several scandals that come up and we don't hear anything done about them, if anything like that came up, they will be punished publicly so that it will be like a deterrent for anybody who wants to hold public office. We will do this in order to really help define what leadership is for. A leadership of a nation is not about going into politics to make money. No, no, no. Leadership is about offering sacrificial service to your nation so you can harness all the resources of a nation and use it to provide care for the 34 million Ghanaians in the nation. So when we put this down, you're not getting anything. I'm sure there will be a sifting immediately. The number of people who will be interested in government might reduce drastically, but it would be an important door into entry. We are trying to do that. We need to reset the governance in this country. And this is going to be a very, very important part of it.
You want to reset? That's what the NDC seeks to do. So how different is what you're trying to do?
I think that the NDC had 16 years in power in the Fourth Republic. They didn't reset anything. So they can't be trusted to reset anything. There's nothing they can reset. They've shown us everything they can do. It's never produced anything that we want in Ghana. So we need to, talk is one thing. We are saying that we are going to do this, and we really mean business.
Okay, what about the NPP?
I think it's the same. The two parties are exactly the same. Everybody knows that now. There's no difference between them.
So there's nothing this government or this party has done since they've been in power that has impressed you, that you think that it's a good idea or good initiative?
I think there's been a tickling away at the problems, but it's almost like cosmetic treatments. And it's in the wrong direction. They've done things that have been helpful, but I think that in order to really bring the changes we are looking at, we need to go and start talking about the 5 transformations.
So that is your message?
Yes.
The 5 transformations.
Exactly.
You say agricultural transformation.
Yes. Industrial transformation, natural resource ownership transformation, infrastructure transformation, and ethical transformation.
Okay, so this is your message.
Yes.
Do you have a policy document
We
to
do.
back this?
Yes, we do.
Where is it? Have you launched it?
Well, it's going to be launched soon. We haven't launched it yet.
Do you have a running mate?
Close. We've got the process very close, and we're going to be announcing him very soon.
Oh, it's a him.
You're catching me out there. Maybe I just use that phrase. Yeah, yes.
Okay. It's you. So you have a policy document you
Yes.
haven't launched.
Yeah.
You haven't mentioned or declared who your running mate is. You haven't even picked forms to contest the elections. And it's 100 days, about 100 days more to the elections. People don't know you. They don't know about your 5 great plans that you say that you have in store. And so are people wrong when they say you're probably not even serious about what you're doing?
We are absolutely serious with what we're doing.
So when do you intend to be doing all these things?
It's all going to be happening in the next week or so. We got all these things set up.
So in the next week, you launch your manifesto, your policy document.
It's all there.
Announce your running mate, pick up forms.
Well, there is a procedure with the EC, and that procedure has to be followed. So we are following that. That is why I would say you haven't picked these forms yet, because we actually following the EC producer, and very soon, in the next few days or weeks, everything will be out in the open with a big bang.
Okay. If you become president, how many ministers, or what will be your size of government?
Well, a Progressive Alliance of Ghana has determined that we will have only 14 ministers.
There are 16 regions.
We have only
There
14
are many
ministers.
sectors. How do you want to do that?
There will be no regional ministers at all. That whole thing, we think, is designed to, it actually takes power away from local governments. And so local governments in the different regions will be empowered to perform all those functions. The idea of putting political heads over the regions is just a multiplication of bureaucracy and multiplication of government expenditure. So we will not have regional ministers, we'll have only sector ministers.
And
14 of them, yes.
For which sectors?
Well,
You haven't really decided.
no, we've got it all, but I can't start reciting those sectors now, but I can tell you it will not be more than 14.
More than 14?
It will not be more than 14.
Are you sure you'll be able to operate with 14 ministers?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think we've gotten used to some wrong models over the years that we think Ghana is only 34 million people. But because we got used to the wrong models of having hundreds of ministers, when you hear 40, you feel like, oh, this is not going to work. But actually, we thought it through, it will work completely well. And it will save this nation millions and millions of cedis.
Okay, do you have people from your party who are contesting for parliamentary seats?
Yeah.
You do?
We do.
In how many constituencies?
Well, we have got offices in 2/3 of the 275 constituencies in Ghana as required by the Electoral Commission. So in a number of those places, people are going to be stepping up to contest these elections for the Progressive Alliance of Ghana.
Oh, but we haven't seen them.
Well, maybe you haven't seen them, but people are emerging all over.
I am a journalist. I speak to politicians all the time.
Yeah.
I host them here every time. There's no single person who has come here representing your party.
Well, I'm here now. So from now on, you are going to learn so much about it.
So you have, what, 2/3?
We've got
you
offices.
Have offices
yes.
in 2/3.
And in these areas, there will be some constituencies where it will be marginal, will be swing constituencies. There will be all kinds of things. We're analyzing all of them. And there will be a good number of
You have candidates in these constituencies?
Not in all of them, but there will be candidates
many?
emerging in in a number of these constituencies.
How many?
We're still forming them. They're still emerging.
100
So I can't
days to the election. You are still forming your candidates?
Yes, they are emerging.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see. That must be very expensive. How are you funding all of these things? Sorry, you take the water. So if you just joined us, we've been talking to Dr. GHOne Kpikpi. He is the presidential candidate for, sorry, your party again?
Progressive Alliance for Ghana.
Okay, Progressive Alliance for Ghana. Yes, so I was asking, I asked you, how are you funding all of these things in your campaign?
Well, the party may be new to you, but it's been going for the last 10 years. It's been last 10 in the making. And people have been making voluntary contributions to support the work at every level. First of all, going through the whole EC process of getting the certificate for a political party. It was people making voluntary contributions to it. And these are not huge, great business people, but individuals who are committed to this vision of transforming this nation from this trajectory of decline. So people are giving voluntarily towards it.
That's how you're funding it?
Yes.
Up until when you get into the elections in December?
And that is how we will still do it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So these 5 great policies of yours.
Yes.
That is what is contained in your policy document.
Yes. And maybe this will be like a very highly summarized one. There will be other things as well, but these are the key points that we always want to put forward.
Okay. You know that Ghanaians are fixated on the NDC and the NPP. You say that, you know, they are both the same. They haven't really done much. We don't appear to have a formidable third force. people still, and I tell you that people still do not know of your party. How do you intend to change that? Let them know, because we've seen other candidates. We've seen Nana Kwame Bediako, we've seen Alan Chemanting, we've seen them out there campaigning. We haven't seen you campaigning. How do you intend to change that, to even want to convince them to vote for you when it's only 100 days to the elections?
Well, we've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes, and that whole thing is going to come together, and that will deliver us to the Ghanaian people. It's going to be a completely different thing in the next few weeks.
In 2023, August last year, you launched the Ghana First Coalition. Was that a what was that? A political party or movement?
No, that was a movement where we were seeking to, again, develop an alternative to the two major parties.
So that didn't work, and then you decided to form the Progressive Alliance for Ghana.
That did not work, and so we got...
Why didn't it work?
Well, I don't think that we can say everything publicly on air. But
your running mate was Jacob Osei-Yeboah. Then, or who was he then?
No, there was no...
There
we
was
hadn't
no
even
candidate.
got to the point of
okay, but he was part of your team.
Yeah,
he was part
there.
of your team.
Yeah.
And he is now part of another team.
I think so.
Okay. And you decided to then form the Progressive Alliance for Ghana.
That had been in the works for the last 10 years.
This Progressive Alliance for Ghana
has been in the works for the last 10 years.
But when did you launch it?
It's an alliance. It's an alliance of leaders or groups, like-minded groups. And so that group emerging really as the strongest in the space for becoming the alternative force that will take power in this country.
How do you intend to do that? I've just told you, no campaign, no billboards, no adverts. We are not seeing your candidates for parliament. Even the presidential candidates, we are not seeing you. We don't know who your running mate is. We haven't seen your policy documents.
Yeah.
And I must remind you, it's just about 100 days to the elections.
Thank you.
How do you want to do that?
We know that all too well. I think that you've now seen me. If you just let me talk about, give the key message that we have for Ghanaians, that will be for you a beginning. But that has been going around all over. It's just that hasn't crossed your path. We've been working behind the scenes. If you just let me talk about our 5 key points, you yourself, you realize that, wow, this is what we need in this country now. So we're trying to get the message across.
Okay, I'll give you a few minutes to do that. So let's go.
Okay. Well, in agricultural transformation, Ghana will aim to produce everything that we eat, which means that we become self-sufficient in agricultural production. At the moment, we spend over $391 million importing rice. Similar amount, $410 million importing chickens. A PhD government, through investing in agriculture, will eliminate all those import bills within 3 years. And imagine what that will be for Ghana. That amount of close to $800 million will now become available within this country for all who are engaged in rice farming, poultry. They will now become the owners of this money. That already lifts up Ghanaians. Prosperity will begin to spread. Lots of people will begin to earn so much. And we might even create some millionaires in the process in Ghana. That is what we mean by changing from the wrong track into the right track. Now, we will also move into industrialization, where we make the things that we use in this country, whether it is shoes, wristwatches, whether it's clothes, whether it's vehicles, cars, whether it is trains, whether it's aeroplanes. We will embark on a massive industrialization program, which will make sure that Ghana becomes an industrial power block in the global arena. We will be exporting goods from this country. Instead of having to import everything, we'll become net exporters of many, many high-quality goods from this nation. We will have that in place. Then we'll go on to a very critical transformation, which will be the natural resource ownership transformation. it's a very sad case that although God has placed so much wealth under our nation's ground in the earth, it is being mined, whether it's gold, diamond, manganese, oil, very, very little of the wealth comes to benefit Ghanaians in this country. In fact, in the gold industry, in the mining gold industry, for example, only 1.7% of the shareholding now belongs to Ghana. Now, that is totally unacceptable. We will transition those arrangements. We will transition those arrangements in order that instead of benefiting a few people in Ghana and their international cronies, companies, now it will be available to be shared completely among all Ghanaians. It will require investment of people, investment in people, investment in capital in these mines. Then and I need to say something else about the natural resource
quickly,
ownership.
yes.
We must understand that all we've been doing in the mining sector has been, again, in the wrong track. We lift oil from the ground and we ship it as crude oil. That should be refined in Ghana, and then we begin to benefit from all the other things that are hidden in that natural, hidden in the crude oil. We can get bitumen for our roads. We can get plastics for all our plastics, for all the plastics industry. We can get so much. And then, of course, even fertilizers, the raw materials come from crude oil. So the gases that are coming up there, we can start using them and transform those gases into ammonia, which becomes the base for production of fertilizers. So it connects back to the industrial revolution, industrial transformational revolution. So we need to begin to change all this, and that is adding real value. We've got lots of steel in this country, or iron ore in this country. We need to really begin to, we need to begin to work on these things, process them to add value. Could change its value from something as low as $1,500 per 100 tons. It can go all the way to 2 million tons per ton.
Thank you very much for coming on the show, and I wish you the very best. Hopefully, when you have launched your policy document and announced your running mates, we will come back and continue with the conversation because, you know, I'm very interested in knowing who emerges as your running mates and what your policy document is. Thanks once again. Dr. John Pikwi is with the presidential candidates for Progressive Alliance for Ghana, right? Progressive Alliance for Ghana.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. Let's now bring you Agro Daily. Well, lots of animal cruelty is happening all over the world. And so we should stop this. All countries should come forward and support wildlife conservation. If we don't conserve our jungles, our next generation will pay the price. And this question is coming from Professor Sandeep, who joins me now on Zoom. Professor Sandeep Senior is a lecturer, a Guinness Book of Record holder, and also an animal conservationist. Good morning for joining us, Prof. What are some of the most pressing animal cruelty issues that you have identified?
Hello, Aqua Ghana. I hope you are able to hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you. So thanks a lot for asking this question. I think the main 5 points which I want to refer for you for animal cruelty is, the first is poaching and illegal trade. That happens because of the cosmetic industry, because of the leather goods and all. Second is habitat destruction. Habitat destruction means people are mining the mother earth like anything. If there is a crude oil, there is a minerals, they do the habitat destruction for the ecosystem. Third is captivity for entertainment, whether it is a circus, whether it is a zoo, it should be stopped. These are the pure animal cruelty. You go to Thailand and you will find that there is a temple over there called Tiger Temple. People go over there, they took the selfie with the tigers, which is very bad. Fourth is trophy hunting. And the fifth is climate change. We should focus on the climate change because that impact the ocean creatures and the entire world a lot.
And I'm going to ask you, how can countries work together more effectively to get rid of the animal cruelty that we are seeing?
Good question. I think if we strengthen the global treaties like CITES, CITES is a body which actually help for the ecosystem. Second is coordinating international law enforcement. Third is we can pool the resources and funds. We bring the young people together, make sure that each and every people know about this social cause. Include wildlife and ecosystem a lot in the studies of school and colleges so that the young people should come forward. Social media should enhance launching the awareness campaign that will help to enrich the ecosystem. And you know what? The law should be a good enough because there are many countries, I should not take the name over here, but there are many countries which actually allow their citizen to pet the wildlife creature. You go to Instagram, you go to Facebook, you will find that people are petting tigers, people are petting big snakes. Okay, that is bad. We should not keep them as a pet. Dogs and cats comes into the pet category, but tigers and elephants should not.
I want to know, finally, what are some of the initiatives that you have championed over the years on this?
I'm an artist as well, along with the wildlife conservationist. So my arts always depicts this wildlife conservation a lot. Like when I created a Guinness Book of Record, my painting is based on the Himalayas, and Himalayas are melting slowly because of the bad climate change. So when we talk about a wildlife conservation is not only saving animals. It's about the wildlife, it's about the ecosystem as well. Think about it that imagine a world without a roar of the tiger, without a flight of a bird, rule of the forest. What kind of future we are giving to the next generation? That is bad.
Okay, your final words to all of our viewers before we let you go.
I think we stand on a crossroad right now. The choices we make will echo the next generation a lot. Okay, so every small step counts. The earth does not belong to us. We are merely a caretaker, and we should not betray that trust. So that is the final point. Okay, I think we should work together to save our planet Earth. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Professor Sandeep Senior. He's a lecturer, he's a Guinness Book of Record holder, and an animal conservationist. Thank you for speaking with us. Stay with us. We'll be back with more after the break. You're welcome back to the show. Yes, I really love that song. So I know why the director played it again. I totally love it. He's my reigning artist of the year as it stands now. Anyway, before we wrap up, we have the Techno Ghana Men's Wear Week, which is happening this week. And I'm joined in the studio by Dapa Jading. He's a fashion creative and show curator. Odei David Ampofo is creative director for Colony Ghana. And then I also have Nana Mensah, who is the founder of the Techno Ghana Men's Wear Week. You're all welcome. Good morning. It's good to see you. I know this one. So it's good to have you here. So tell us, what is the Techno Ghana wear? Is that what it is? Men's Wear Week about?
Okay, so in simple terms, it's a platform we created in 2016.
To that
give,
long?
yes, the opportunity to menswear designers in Ghana and across the African continent to showcase the latest trends in menswear and accessories with a weekend of an event. So what it is that we invite other designers from African countries. They come here, join their Ghanaian counterparts, and then for a weekend, we show the latest, what to expect in menswear for the next year or the years to come, and everything else in between. So basically, that's the concept of the show. And
you've been doing it since 2016.
2016, when we launched our maiden edition here in Accra. And
Okay.
it's been great since then because we had a good reception in terms of the markets and the viability of it. And we've been at it since then.
Okay, where have you usually held it?
Well, so we started from Lifestyle Gallery on Spintech. That was our, our main venue until we moved it to the Trade Fair Center, and then now to the World Trade Center Accra, where we hold it annually the last 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jading, how different will this year's be from what you've had previously?
Yes, so this year ahead of the main show, there's a street show called Abontain. So it's strictly for streetwear Ghanaian designers, basically. So, I want patrons to come and experience.
There's a streetwear.
Yes,
So there's a
streetwear
street show.
Yes.
Okay.
For strictly streetwear designers.
Oh, okay. When you say streetwear, which one is the streetwear? Streetwear.
So, yeah.
That's your field.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay. Which one? What's the streetwear? So what you're wearing is streetwear.
Yes.
And what he's wearing is what? Streetwear.
Yeah.
Same streetwear.
And yours is
regular wear.
okay. So the streetwear show
Yes.
is by strictly Ghanaian designers,
Designers,
and that's happening where?
On the 31st, same venue, 4
At the
p.m.
World Trade
at the World
Center.
Trade Center.
Okay.
It's a daytime show, so it's starting from 4 p.m. We're always prompt with our time, so patrons really need to be early.
I hope so.
Yes.
Okay, so is the streetwear show different from the main show, or it's all happening on the same day?
No, so the main show then comes on the 1st of September, which is day 2.
Okay.
Where the African designers with the Ghanaian counterparts will do their show. And
Okay.
then day 1 is for designers like Colony and
Yeah.
other creatives who will be showcasing strictly for them as streetwear designers. So day 2, that we go inside at 7 p.m. and then do the evening show with the glitz, glam, the boom, everything else that you can think of.
And you'll be dressing up. So, Colony, what's the streetwear, please?
Well, basically, streetwear is more about designing and designing stuff like this. How do I even put it? Trying to bring what we have in the Western world, like on the streets of Italy, France,
New York.
things that really look good on the street, bringing it down here to make it look good.
Okay, so then you do all these big pants.
Yeah, I
Kind
make
of.
all this myself.
Okay, what about what Jading is wearing? He likes to dress like that in his big shoe. Is this shoe part of streetwear?
Yes, please.
Are you also wearing a big shoe?
No, it's normal. This is a Nike.
Okay, I see. Nana, what started all of these things? These are things that you saw, on the streets of Italy and Paris, and you have brought it here.
So it was in 2016, South Africa was the only country on the continent that was the menswear week
Okay.
and whatever it was. So I witnessed it and I'm like, we can replicate this thing in Ghana because
Of
I had
course.
then interacted with a lot of young designers who were looking for the opportunities. So when I came back in 2016, when I launched it, it became the second of its kind in the whole of Africa. So we then, from there, had Nigeria, Togo, and all these other people doing menswear week, to celebrate their menswear designers as well. So
Okay.
again, it was just an opportunity to highlight this part of the fashion market, which is doing so great outside, and we thought we can just bring the same thing here. And so far, it's been very, very good.
Okay, so Colony, is this your first time being part of the program?
Yes, this is my first time.
This is your
being
first
part
time.
of-
But I'm sure that you have seen their successes over the
Yes,
years, for which
yes,
reason you wanted to be a part of.
And I've been on other shows too.
Okay, how about you, Jading? Is this your first time working with the team?
This is my 3rd year
Okay.
working on Ghana Menswear Week.
Okay.
Yes.
How
As a
has it been?
curator. It's been amazing. I mean,
What do curators do? You guys have all of these terms. What do curators do?
I think it's a modified word or a synonym for a producer, basically. Yes, but for a niche.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So because I
Curator.
Look at
produce
that.
it,
Okay,
know,
like, should I
you
know what you're talking about? Play innocent, like, okay. I mean, you know everything about it.
I see.
Yes.
So producer, like
yes.
my producer.
Yeah, your yes.
So he
and
curates.
Gen Zs have found a way to
That's
curate.
allowed.
Yeah.
Lale does the same.
Yes.
She's also a curator.
Yeah.
Curator, yes.
I see. What
know.
should people expect when they
so
come?
of course I'm producing the streetwear show again this year. We have about 8 to 10 designers. We're still confirming a few people. Some streetwear brands still want to join, so I think we're closing it today or tomorrow. So just patrons should come see these amazing designs. Luxury streetwear brands that I believe will blow our patrons' minds.
Okay.
Yes.
Nana, who is allowed to come, and is it for free?
So day one is free. I know
Which is
Ghanaians
the
love.
streetwear.
Yeah, the street show is free. Ghanaians love free, so they should come in droves. 2 p.m. By 4 p.m. they should be seated. Day 2 is ticketed. If they go on our social media pages, there's a code there that you can just comfortably sit at home and then order your tickets. It's from something small, 100 cedis, so I'm sure you can afford it. And then
Why should I buy a ticket to come and buy clothes?
because you are coming to see the best of the best.
Yes.
And not just Ghanaian, but African. They are
Right.
bringing their A game. The good thing about the show is that whatever you see on the runway, you can shop off runway. When they are done, you can just go backstage
And rip it
just,
off
just
the
rip it off the
models.
models, and be your own mannequin, and then go. So it's going to be fun. It's been fun over the years, especially with the foreign designers.
Okay.
They bring their A game, and we're expecting the same thing this year as well.
Okay.
So as we wrap up, thank you to GHOne and thank you to Star FM. They've held us for the last few years, and of course to Techno and Flame Condoms. We are grateful.
Okay. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming, and I wish you all the very best.
Are we
Are we seeing you? Oh, no.
Me, I don't wear streetwear.
No,
so
we'll see you on day 2. You have
Day
to be
two,
there.
Like
day
the
two.
jeans on the
You
top,
know,
it's all streetwear.
the day 2.
We'll bring in special invites.
This boy's dressing, I can't match
No,
it.
come and see.
I can't match it.
We'll put a light on
The
you.
things he will wear, I can't match
We
it.
need your color on the front row.
Something for you.
He makes
Exactly.
it- okay,
Eh,
all right. Thank you so much.
Thank you too,
Dapper
Serwaa.
Jading is fashion creative and show curator. Hey, and Odei David Ampopo is creative director for Colony Ghana, and of course Nana Mensah, who is the founder of the Techno Ghana Menswear Week. Please come out and support them. The middle one is my friend, but now they are all my friends by association.
Yeah.
Please come and support them. 31st August and 1st September at the World Trade Center, right? You pay me for the free adverts that I've done for you. Anyway, before we go, let me do some few birthday shout-outs very quickly before we go. Happy birthday, Jessie J. Enjoy your day to the fullest. Okay. Do we have another wish? Happy birthday, MFA. A blissful and sound life ahead, a brilliant future and everlasting bliss. That's what you are. That's what you're longed for. Throughout today and all year through, from Gentle K. Okay, this person really likes the word bliss. So happy blissful birthday, MFA. Also, happy birthday to Amihere Champon from the Newmont Ahafo North Warehouse team. God bless you. Okay, I believe I just did that. Do you have any birthday wishes? Do you know anyone who's celebrating their birthday? No. You too. Colony, you are now going to check. Happy birthday if you're celebrating your birthday, or if you know anyone who is celebrating their birthday. You know, I know that Dapper has got a stint with TV. Wrap up the show for me.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Share, you send me. Harry, let's go.
Thank you, Serwaa, for having us. I hope you enjoyed the morning show, and same time tomorrow, she'll be here.